Welcome back, shop rats. Today here in the shop, we're fixing something that shouldn't need to be fixed. We had some stuff happen on the Stitches Challenger, and we got to fix it. We have a big dent in the quarter panel here, and after the show intro, I'll tell you what happened, and we'll get into it. I'm Mike.
This is My Cars Shop.
So as you can see, we have a nice dent, and it's dent down here a little bit too, but I think, if I'm good, there, we fixed that part. That edge is nice and straight now. This, however, well, what happened was the car is in a part of the shop it's not normally in. It was back there, and we had it up there, but when Chris was here this past weekend, we put it here to just kind of make it easy for the welder to reach into the car for him to be able to work on it. And we were moving it around at the end of the day after the job was done, just kind of moving it back over. And the floor here slopes this way and pow, right into the post. And I knew there was a rooster crow. They'd have been proud of me. I didn't say too much, but I did,
expletives were expressed.
And I pulled the car back out, and sure as little poop stinks, there's that dent. So it's a great episode. Let's do some dent removal. One very fortunate thing about this is we know exactly how it happened because we witnessed it happen, and that helps. If you know how a dent went into something, that helps you know how to remove it. And the main thing is this edge here is what took it most, right? So the dent up here, it bubbles up, is a result of this. So we're going to focus on trying to move this dent out, particularly from this point in here, which is its deepest, and then work our way back out. Now, one mistake people will make is they'll just get back there with a hammer and just start bang, 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 bang. That may not be the most prudent way at this juncture to remove the dent. So the first thing I've done is just gather up tools I think I might need. Flat block, dolly, one with a little round edge as well as some flare edges, maybe a slapping hammer, a couple of body hammers, and a block of wood, and my large pair of welding clamps. I'm going to start with these just to get a feel on what I'm looking for. Remember that the thing that we don't want to do is start just pounding on stuff and then stretching the metal out in all kinds of dimples. We want to try to move this metal as simply as possible, as much as possible, to get it back to being flat. So I'm going to start with my welding clamp and a couple pieces of something, not sure what yet, but a couple pieces of metal or something here, and just try to squeeze this a little bit right up close to this edge up here where the deepest part of the dent is, and just gently squeeze and see what happens. So I've got a piece of aluminum in there that's taped in place and held in place with a magnet. It's right up against that body line and in a good place, hopefully, for me to reach through and do some squeezing. Get you a little better look at it there. So it's held up tight against that bottom of that body line now and kind of held in place so I don't have to fool with it or worry about it when I'm using my clamp. That frees me on this side to use another plate and squeeze as needed. My goal right now is not necessarily to remove the entire dent, okay? My goal is to just get a feel for what is actually happening here. So I gotta adjust my squeezer-ish. Get this, I'm gonna use this one to start, but I wanna get my clamp centered kind of right where the dent is. Now, there may be better tools for this, all that stuff. I'm just using what I have, so DIY, right? Good, it's moving it. I'd love to get you over here, but I can't. I'll get you over here a little closer so you can see what's happening. So again, I'm just trying to get this lined up, kind of centered in the dent, squeezing against my piece of aluminum that's behind, keeping this down below a little bit. Okay, now I got that there. I'm going to take one of my really nice surfaced hammers and just gently tap. we've moved it out significantly. We still have a little bubble here, but I want to tighten up my clamp a little bit. It's kind of a pain in the patookus. I could magnet and tape this one on here too, but I don't want to. And I don't have to be right 100% up at the top with this. I just need to be in line with the dent. The piece of metal on the inside is lined up 100% at the top, right? So I just want to make sure that I'm squeezing directly behind that dent so that our aluminum is not putting a dent out here or out here. There we go. Yeah, good. All right, let's keep tapping. I'm gonna pick a little bit smaller faced hammer here. Got to move you guys. A little bubble right there. Got a little high spot right there, little low spot right there. So let's move that. I'm using a hammer that's got a little bit of a round surface on it. So I'm moving that metal towards that low spot, trying to get it to pop up. It is virtually gone. I got a little high spot around there yet. I'm going to get a little hammer. I'll be right back. Okay, there's a little hammer that I made for stuff like this. Still got a little high bubble around there, which tells me that if I release this, it's probably going to suck back in a little bit. Let's find out. Wow, that surprises me. I did not expect that. It's probably because this edge is so good. It's, boy. There's just an ever so minor whoop right in here. This has got just a minor little bubble, and then we got this dent in here to deal with. I think we are done squeezing at this point. So you can see that we still got a little hump there, and our dent is just down in here now. So we're going to do a little hammer and dolly in here to get that out. My instincts tell me I want to try to get this edge straight first, and I can do that by pulling. We are in about 3/16 of an inch right there. Sometimes the best way to do that is by hand. Yep, okay, we're good now. I got a little crease right there. I think this is going to have to be done
In the old-fashioned way, we're going to have to earn it.
But this edge here is not bad. A little more work I'll do there, but we can metal finish that, and it'll be almost needing no Bondo at all. So I can't emphasize enough that little taps, moving the metal, little teeny bits at a time, is the best way to do this. So I'm just feeling around back here for hammer position. I'm not trying to do hammer on dolly. I'm just using the dolly as kind of a gauge to when the metal is coming out. Hear that? So I know the metal came out. As soon as you start hearing that tink, 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 you know the metal's out against the dolly. Okay, so it kind of comes back here a little bit, so I got to find that, which is right there. Still got quite a crease in there. Hard to see what I'm doing. That's for sure. Okay, there it is. Now I can see it. Oh yeah, getting a lot better. Also, I'm using the largest face I have so that I'm not putting dents in that metal. So I'm hitting, it hits in here, like if this is the dent, it's hitting the dent and not hitting the metal around it. So I'm going both by ear and by sight, but it's definitely improving. Little teeny bites, little bites, little bites. That's got a little concave to it. There we go, that's better, that's what I want. I forgot that this isn't totally flat, this has a little curve to it. Okay, got to get up here where I can see again. Little bites, little bites, little bites. I can tell when I'm getting back this way too far, you can hear the metal start clinking. So I'm trying to stay up in that low spot. You hear the difference? You can tell I'm coming back to the back of the car too much. Tink, 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 and I move forward. So I'm just working this whole area in here. Still got quite a crease. Now we're talking. We're getting there. See, we got just a little bit in there yet. There's a little one there too. That might have been there. But it's a whole lot better than it was. We still need to work that some more. So I'm not going to sit there and bore you with 10,000 hours of me pounding, but I wanted to demonstrate the technique that when my hammer starts coming back here, this metal is the right height, and you'll hear it get real tinny when the hammer's slapping against the tin. When you're up in the right spot, you don't hear that until, of course, the metal comes out far enough. And I'm hitting it fairly light, mostly using the big face, although this time I think I'm going to switch to the smaller face to try to concentrate more on this dent here. So I'll be back in a few minutes. You can see we got a little bit there yet, but down here, it's virtually gone. Our edge is so close, you can hardly even see the gap. I'm going to get a little sandpaper. Well, I don't want to do that yet. I want to work this a little bit more. I think I need to go with my block up in here underneath. I hate all those scars in that thing. But this thing has a slight curve to it, and I'd forgotten that. So I'm using the concave side, not the convex side. It's very minuscule, but just a little teeny bit. And I'm using that. In this case, I'm not sure if I'm going to probably use it like this. And you can see it's got a curve that way as well. So I'll probably use this just a little bit off, because I need to I'll put this inside. Yes, that's what I'll do. I'll put this inside on this, and then I'll tap here with this on the back side. And I'll know when I'm too far this way off the dent, because I'll hear it tinking. And when I come too far this way off the dent, I'll hear it tinking. So I want to focus on where it doesn't make that tinking sound. Make that very clear. When you're hearing this, only through the tin, you're stretching the metal, and that's not what we want to be doing here. We want to be moving the metal without stretching it. So we're going to take this inside with the concave side up. We're going to get it right in here by that dent. Oh yeah, I can feel it big time. And we are going to work on coming around this way. I'm pushing up underneath there while hammering down on the high spots. Still a little high right in there, so I'm going to bring that down. Much better. I don't think I'm going to get too much fussier than that. There's a little teeny bit in there. I can't even hardly see it. I can just feel it. So primer's going to take that out. This is almost gone now too. Little bit. But hammering like this, we're always trying to slide the hammer as you're tapping in the direction you're trying to move the metal. So I was trying to move it towards the low spot and out towards the edge to get this edge straightened out. The edge is perfect. See how close we are in there. It's just a little teeny bit. I mean, it's so minuscule. I can hardly see it with my naked eye. But you can see in there, there's a little bit right down in here. So we need to bring that out just a little bit down in here. I think we're okay down here now. Yeah, we got a low spot. So the dent is kind of still here a little bit, but you can hardly see it. So not hiding a thing. You can see I sanded it a little bit with some 180. I can feel it. Polyester primer will take that out without even any Bondo. That side is got just a little teeny bit in it. I'm going to do a little metal finish work on there right now, and I think we'll be good to go. But it is, said you can see minor. Still a little high spot right in there. Yeah, it still is. I'm going to tap that down just a little bit more because we got a little low spot right there as well. So we're going sanded it some more. High spot still there a little bit. It is minuscule. This is virtually gone. So I'm going to go through and do a little metal finish work on this with just a grinder, and I think we'll be good to go. So a little high spot there, a little teeny low spot there, low spot here, low spot here. Very livable, very livable. Going to go over it a little bit more. Our edge, it's got a little low spot right there. This low spot is virtually gone. This low spot is virtually gone. It's actually got a little high spot right there. I'm going to tink that down just a little bit, and then we'll get some primer on it and see what we got. Just like that. Not bad. I can live with that. If this was a higher dollar car, I'd spend more time on it. But why spend another 20 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes when one little minor of Bondo would fix it, although I don't think I even need it. Just some fill prime, except for that dent right there. That's driving me nuts. Hang on, I got to fix that. Just took my little pick hammer and just there, and it's gone. So low spots you can fill, high spots you have to peen down, so I don't want anything high. Shake that can enough, and I got a little curtain down here. Either that or when that can was mixed, they had mixed too many runs in the can, which is possible. But I got a nice heavy coat. That's actually going to fill most of this. And there you can see the inside. Nothing hidden. So we'll let that dry and we'll see what we got. Force drying it just a little bit. Then we'll give it a quick scuff over with a Scotch-Brite or some sandpaper. Whoop! I guess it's rotating. I got carried away and tried sanding it too soon. I ended up having to strip it and start over again. So that's looking pretty good. Not sure if that's in the original panel. It's got to be in the original panel. There's a little hump in the body line right here. I didn't notice that before. Easy enough to take this and it might be an optical illusion, but if it is, we'll pound that down. But anyway, it's getting there. I'm trying not to be impatient this time. I touched it a little bit, put a couple little chips in it, but you can see I got real bad grind edges up here, which doesn't matter because all we're doing is focusing on the dent. But like I said, I screwed up and got impatient and caused myself more work. So I'm going to try to let this dry for a little bit. Then we'll come back and lightly sand it, and we'll see what it looks like. But I think it looks good. I can't complain about that. No Bondo. I went over it with the primer, tried sanding it too fast, screwed it up, ground it back down again, primed it again, force dried it, wet sanded it with 400, went over it one more time with just some primer, just sprayed it. And it is what it is. Almost all the low spots were filled just with that little bit of primer that I put on there. In spite of my screw up, but I had nothing, almost nothing. So looks good. The body line this way looks really close. There may be just ever so slightly, but again, if we go over that with polyester primer and block that out with a nice big long block, it's going to be just fine. If this was a higher dollar car, I probably would spend more time tinking away at it. But just to recap, and it's just taken me 40 years to get this myself. When I would see a dent in a car, the first thing I would do is take a hammer. Boom, 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 boom. And you end up with all kinds of hammer marks poking through, and you stretch the metal, and it never looks right, and you end up with that much Bondo in there. And, oh no, oh no. Little bites, little tinks. You can move metal better, slowly, one little tap at a time. Use your brain, use your smarts, use that on and off dolly thing that I was talking about where you can tell if you're hitting it and you're hearing the tink through the metal. You're definitely hearing that ring. You're definitely stretching that metal, and maybe that's what you want to do. But if you're trying to take a dent out like this, where you start hearing that on both sides, you're too far one way or the other. Adjust your blows. Keep your hammer flat. Make sure you're using as big a hammer as possible until you're starting to get the dent close out. Then bring a hammer head down smaller. The other thing was, if at all possible, don't just assume you need to start using a hammer and dolly. I saved myself probably a half hour, 45 minutes of work just by using those two pieces of flat metal and my welding clamp and slowly just stretching that metal back into place like that. So think outside the box. Why even think there is a box? Look at what can be done. There's all kinds of other techniques. There's all kinds of other people. Some people will say I didn't do this right, but the fact is this turned out about 90% back to what it was before, probably more like 95%, maybe even more like 97%. And I used no filler at all, none, zip, zilch, a little bit of fill prime, that was it. Just imagine what this is going to look like once we start blocking it out. Probably what will happen is when we get to this body part, I'll forgotten that this dent even happened. So we're not going to put the car back over here again. We're going to leave it here for now. And then when I get some time, we're going to move it back up there temporarily because we've got more stuff we need to do to it. But I appreciate you being here. I got upset at first, and then I realized, hey, this is a great opportunity.
I can't think of the word.
To demonstrate to you how to do a dent repair without even needing to use any Bondo. All right, that'll do it. We'll catch you on the next one.
Rah!